Make the pesa, make the properties, build an empire. Literally everything I want in my life, I want to achieve it by 50. So
Toni Shergill, CEO of Brit Asia TV network.
UK's leading TV and radio platform for British Asians.
the reality is, when you're born, you're going to go to school, you're going to have your first crush, nobody talks about it. You're going to have a girlfriend, nobody talks about it. Your heart's going to get broken. And then you're going to go to college, you're going to hopefully think, I'm going to meet the girl of my dreams. Then she goes off with another guy. Or and then you actually meet the girl that you should be with. You have lovely children with her. You then spend the rest of your life working hard and making sure your children are good. They're going to go through that same cycle you've just done and that whole same process you've just been through. And then next minute, you know, we're Siane and we're thinking, who's going to look after us? Some people say, actually, we want to focus on our children's education. Children become so educated, they forget the parents.
Talking to your 16-year-old version, what would you say to him? Make sure you don't do this thing. And
Maybe I could have been a little bit more collaborative. Now it's an era of let your money work for you and be smart. Maybe this is a bit controversial, but
ਕੀ ਹਾਲ ਆ ਭਾਜੀ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਇਹ ਦੱਸੋ
हाँ जी बहुत बढ़िया ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਧੰਨਵਾਦ ਇੰਨੀ ਦੂਰੋਂ 18 ਘੰਟੇ ਲਾ ਕੇ really nice of you guys
ਪੁਰਾਣੇ ਟਾਈਮ 'ਚ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਇੰਟਰੋਡਕਸ਼ਨ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਸੀ ਨਾ ਪੁਰਾਣੀ ਇੰਟਰਵਿਊ ਦੀ ਅੱਜ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਨੇ ਉਦਾਂ ਸੋ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਦਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਸਿੱਧਾ ਡਾਇਰੈਕਟ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ
ਹਾਂਜੀ
ਸੋ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਬਵੀਅਸਲੀ ਯੂ ਵਰ ਬੋਰਨ ਇਨ UK
ਹਾਂਜੀ
ਕਿਹੜੇ ਸਾਲ 'ਚ ਤੁਸੀਂ
1979 born and brought up in Birmingham where we're sitting here
ਹਾਂਜੀ
actually the hospital is about 5 minutes up the road.
Wow.
So, you know, humble beginnings. And actually, funny enough, my grandfather, who fought in the Second World War, when they were fighting in the war, and they got a voucher system. Most time, if you fought in the war, you were allowed a voucher system, and you allowed them to bring your family from Punjab.
Yes.
And because he got injured. He then had to join the Red Cross during the time until the war was over. And what happened was my father has 5 brothers, no sisters. And all 5 brothers came, except for my Bibi, came from Punjab at that time. And my dad's 3 elder brothers said, this is not for us. He goes,
Okay.
so can you believe in the 60s? ਹੁਣ ਆਪਾਂ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਦੇ ਇਮੀਗ੍ਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਲੋਕੀ ਨੱਠਦੇ ਆ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਜੀ ਕਰਦਾ ਇੱਥੇ ਯਾਰ ਕੁਛ ਬਣ ਜੇ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਚਲ ਜਾਈਏ UK ਚਲ ਜਾਈਏ ਆਸਟ੍ਰੇਲੀਆ all these other countries
ਹਾਂਜੀ
but can you believe the mindset at that time that they said actually ਇਹ ਕੰਮ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਹੋਣਾ we're from a Raj that was Punjab that was pre-partition that was run by Maharaja that was run where the community and Sikhs saw Ekta for the first time ever was when the Bana Misla came together. And that's when you had Raj for 40 years. And that was the richest state at that time within that in Bharat, because India and Pakistan wasn't created. But Punjab at that time then, if you think about the wealth that it had, it said 26% of the GDP of that country. And if you look at the fact that actually there was no execution in that time of Maharaja Ranjit Singh's Raj. He ran it as a Punjabi state. So what that means is if you read your Nawaz, you read it. If you read your Gita Pavan or the religion you belong to, you are able to practice that religion. There's no restriction. So when you see that from my father's age and his brothers, they've seen a history. I shouldn't say they've seen a history. I would say that they've understood a history, that they've actually understood that migration process. They said, we are not here to do this kind of work that the Gode don't want to do. Because the issue was there were so many millions of people who fought and died in the First and Second World War. And the work that was left was the hard industrial revolution, which is what made England at that time, was very difficult. Both labor ਦਾ ਕੰਮ ਸੀ you know iron ਦਾ ਕੰਮ and ਉਹਨਾਂ ਕੋ ਨਹੀਂ ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਣਾ so they actually decided not to come and they went back and then my eldest Daya became a captain and retired captain in the army. My second eldest Daya sadly passed away in the coup because what happened then, so my father, my chacha and my grandfather stayed here in the UK. they all then lived literally 5 minutes up the road, which is strange, where the hospital was as well, which was our first house in Rotten Park Road, in Shenstone Road. And many other Punjabis, that was the hotspot, and that's where they were coming at that time. And then what happened was they worked and sent money back to the Taya who was looking after the Kheti. And he then became well known in ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਜਾਣਦੇ ਆ 30 ਪਿੰਡਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਉਹਦਾ ਨਾਮ ਚੱਲਦਾ. He became very popular because at that time my father he was only like 16, 17. My chacha was only 15. My grandfather was still fairly in his late 35 or something. And if you look, they worked hard, super hard. They worked so hard that they were able to raise a lot of money and then send back to him, and then they brought land. But that guy was so passionate, the tractor toppled over and he passed away in the Jameen. So then the responsibility fell on the third Daya to carry on that kind of legacy and carry on and making sure that Jameen was there. Because the focus was always that we've come here, but we haven't come to stay. We've come to work and go back to Punjab and build a better home and better prospects. But what happens is, with time, when you start working, there was 20 people in one house, a 3-bedroom house, and every single room was converted actually wasn't even converted. ਕੱਪੜੇ ਪਾ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਸੀ, ਇਹ ਸਾਡਾ ਸੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਆ. ਉਹ ਬੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਸਵੇਰ ਨੂੰ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਉੱਠ ਕੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਰਾਤ ਦੀ ਸ਼ਿਫਟ ਲਾ ਕੇ ਉਹ ਬੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਆ ਕੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਜਗ੍ਹਾ ਤੇ ਸੋਣਾ. ਸੋ ਰੋਟੇਸ਼ਨ ਸਿਸਟਮ ਚੱਲਦਾ ਸੀ, ਸ਼ਿਫਟ ਚੱਲਦੀ ਸੀ ਸੌਣ ਦੀ, ਹੈ ਨਾ. ਐਂਡ ਉਹ ਸ਼ਿਫਟ ਪੈਟਰਨ ਚੱਲਦਾ ਸੀ. ਉਹ 2 ਬੰਦਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇੰਦਾ ਕਰੋ, ਯੂ ਗਾਈਜ਼ ਆਰ ਦ ਵਨ ਹੂ ਇਜ਼ ਗੋਇੰ ਟੂ ਮੇਕ ਦ ਰੋਟੀਆਂ ਐਂਡ ਦ ਦਾਲਾਂ. ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕੰਮ ਤੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਜਾਣਾ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਫਾਈ ਕਰਨੀ ਘਰ ਦੀ. ਸੋ 2 ਬੰਦੇ ਸਿਲੈਕਟ ਕਰ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਸੀ. 20 ਬੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਘਰ ਸਿਲੈਕਟਡ 2 ਰਾਤ ਦਾ. ਇੱਕ ਬੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਦਿਨ ਨੂੰ ਰੋਟੀ ਬਣਾਉਣੀ, ਦੂਜੀ ਨੇ ਰਾਤ ਦੀ ਰੋਟੀ ਬਣਾਉਣੀ. ਐਂਡ ਬੇਸਿਕਲੀ they would then, everybody would pay out of their pay to pay that family. So think about Ekta. I'm talking about Ekta, I'm talking about Raj, I'm talking about how collectively there was that process and we're all working compassionately together. And look what happened then. So what happened then after that, because don't forget, Punjab de Naujawan were big, strong, Sherfoot Jawan Munde, and a majority of the Munde were like that. My father and Chacha created a tug-of-war team in the 70s. It was called Punjab Farmers, and it was called Sher Punjab. Again, linking it back to the Raj and what they know. These are not consequences or coincidence. Sorry, these are actual things that were still in their mindset. They were still something that they were proud of, and they've heard from their grandfathers, or they've heard from the stories of what happened in that era. And so I remember them telling me a story that when they used to go and do tug-of-war, they used to go on a weekend. It was raining, very muggy. They used to go to Worcester, all over the country. And he said the English people were on one side with big numbers, and these good rugby guys were the tug-of-war guys. And then we would just turn up with whatever we've got, and brought some shorts and some tops. And what actually happened, we started winning the tug-of-wars. And what happened, the audience almost started to shift into us and started following us. So they done tug-of-war for such a long time. And then they went on to, creating the first ever tournaments here under the name of Sheed Udham Singh. And then it went on to be under the Sheed. So again, they started implementing new things that was needed for the community, because it's a sportsmanship. We're used to kabaddi, hockey, rasa kitchen. These are natural sports. So again, you could either go down a different route, or you could go down a healthier route and be a bit more proactive. So these kind of, the reason why I'm sharing these kind of stories is because it's probably important to show how their mindset and what they had to do in that time. And they were just focused on our future. So I always feel, if I'm here today, or if I've made any wealth, or if I've done well, or our families have done well, or we've made a success, or we've made some money, it's down to their hard work. It's down to their their resilience, what they had to put up at that time, and we owe it to our grandparents, we owe it to our parents.
ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਕਿ ਇੱਕ ਜਨਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਪਹਿਲੀ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲੀ ਆਉਂਦੀ ਦੇ pretty much have to burn their life to create the second generation. ਪਰ ਮੈਂ ਵੀ ਦੇਖਿਆ ਕਿ ਕਈ ਵਾਰੀ ਸੈਕੰਡ ਜਨਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਨੂੰ ਓਨੀਆਂ ਵੈਲਿਊਜ਼ ਪਾਸ ਔਨ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦੀਆਂ. ਓਬਵੀਅਸਲੀ ਇਨ ਯੋਰ ਕੇਸ ਯੂ ਹੈਵ ਸੀਨ ਐਂਡ ਯੂ ਹੈਵ ਰਿਅਲਾਈਜ਼ਡ ਕਿ ਨਹੀਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਹਾਰਡ ਵਰਕ ਕੀਤਾ, ਸੋ ਮੈਂ ਗਲਤ ਸਾਈਡ 'ਤੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਜਾਣਾ. ਬਟ ਸਮਟਾਈਮਸ ਫਸਟ ਜਨਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਮੇਕ ਸ਼ੋਰ ਦ ਸੈਕੰਡ ਜਨਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਹੈਜ਼ ਅ ਹੈਡ ਸਟਾਰਟ, ਪਰ ਉਹ ਗਲਤ ਪਾਸੇ ਵੀ ਜਾ ਸਕਦਾ. So how was your that I would say transition or transportation of those values from the parents were different?
ਦੇਖੋ ਮਨਪ੍ਰੀਤ ਸਾਰੇ ਐਲਟੀ ਆਪਾਂ ਨੇ, we all done ਐਲਟੀ, we all ਚਪੇੜਾ ਵੀ ਖਾਧੀਆਂ ਆਇਆ ਨੇ.
Okay.
So it's not as if like ਉਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਈਆਂ. And ਬੰਦਾ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਸੱਤਾ ਖਾ ਕੇ ਸਿੱਖਦਾ. And I think that's a big example that everybody should take, whether it's in business or any part of your life. Doesn't matter if it's your marriage, your personal household, you're dealing with your children, dealing with everything. It's a learning curve, because that's what Sikhi is all about. We've made it hard. We've made it complicated. We've said, Ani ho sakda, oni ho sakda. But actually, we're learning. Every day it's a learning process. And I feel that what's currently I think what kept me a little bit balanced is probably my suroop and identity. Okay. If I probably, because it was always warning me to say, well, actually, na kar. ਲੋਕੀ ਦੇਖੋਗੇ ਅੰਕੋ ਯਾਰ ਇਹ ਸਰਦਾਰ ਕੀ ਕਰਨ ਲੱਗਾ, ਉਹ ਇਹ ਕਿਹੜੇ ਕੰਮਾਂ 'ਚ ਪਿਆ ਆ. So that always held me back, or that always made me think at that moment in time, actually this is ਇਹ ਸਾਡੇ ਕੰਮ ਨਹੀਂ. So I would say my Sikhi identity probably kept me in bay, and that again is down to my parents, because that's what we were brought up, and that's the ethics and the values they gave us.
ਸੋ ਇੰਟਰਸਟਿੰਗ ਥਿੰਗ ਇਜ਼ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਰੂਪ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਸੀ ਨਾ, ਅਤੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਵਾਰੀ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਹੁਣ ਆਪਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਹਮੇਸ਼ਾ ਸੋਚਣਾ ਪੈਂਦਾ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਆਪਣਾ ਇੱਕ ਸਟੈਪ ਆਪਣੀ ਪਹਿਚਾਣ ਬਹੁਤ ਈਜ਼ੀਲੀ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਆ. ਤਾਂ ਸਾਰੀ ਆਪਣੀ ਮਤਲਬ ਬਾਕੀ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਨੇ ਜਾਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਸਰੂਪ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਨੇ, ਤਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਇਫੈਕਟ ਪੈ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਰੈਪੂਟੇਸ਼ਨ. ਪਰ ਇਹੀ ਸੇਮ ਸਰੂਪ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਬਹੁਤ ਲੋਕ ਇੱਦਾਂ ਦੇ ਵੀ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੀ ਕੋਈ ਮਤਲਬ ਵੈਲਿਊਜ਼ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗੀਆਂ, ਵੀ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਗਲਤ ਟਰੈਕ 'ਤੇ ਉਹ ਆਪਣੇ ਲਈ ਨਾਮ ਖਰਾਬ ਕਰੀ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਨੇ. ਬਟ ਅਗੇਨ ਡਜ਼ ਦੈਟ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਦਿਮਾਗ 'ਚ ਇਹ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਆਉਂਦੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਆਪਾਂ ਇਹਦੇ ਲਈ ਕੀ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਇਨ ਟਰਮਸ ਆਫ, ਤਾਂ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਵੈਲਿਊਜ਼ ਆਪਣੀਆਂ ਰਹਿਣ ਅਤੇ ਆਪਣਾ.
To be honest, Harry, you know what I do? I used to think about that a lot. ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਦਿਮਾਗ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਉਂਦਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਸੀ ਯਾਰ ਇਹ ਤਾਂ ਸਹੀ ਕੰਮ ਨਹੀਂ. But then I thought actually ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਰਮ ਆ, and everyone's has their own path in life, and they're going to have ਉਹੀ ਗੱਲ ਆ ਗਈ ਸੱਤਾਂ ਸਿੱਖ ਕੇ ਉਹ ਬੰਦਾ ਵੀ ਸੱਤਾਂ ਸਿੱਖ ਕੇ ਸਮਝੂਗਾ. He will change hopefully somewhere down the line, that if he's done wrong or he's doing something wrong, he will learn and think actually ਉਹ ਸੋਝੀ ਆ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਆ. Something or somewhere, that light or that something will come to him. And I think if you look at, so the reason why I look at positivity and I look at a different outview is ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੁਣ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਪਿਕਚਰਾਂ ਦੇਖਦੇ of the sardars that fought in the World War I and World War II, we feel proud that they're wearing they're the star, they're Swaroopdhari, they're wearing their kirpan, they've fought and they fought for a different community, and they laid their lives on there. That makes us feel proud. They fought with Britain, they fought for Britain. And and there's a massive a feeling of proudness when we look at these pictures. So that's the positive outset of Sikhs in the UK, that Sikhs are very valued as a martial race and a very strong very brave community, and a very giving community. So I would say that in the UK we're seen as that, and you're 100% right, Baji. There's always a small sect of people that will go the other way. But if you think about where that journey's come from let's say Maharaja Ranjit Singh being the first the greatest Maharaja in that century, again the star carried on to to other great. Maybe this is a bit controversial, but then if we look at who was the most next, like you've had generals in the army, they've all worn the stars. You've had Manmohan Singh, who wore the star. You've got Diljit Dosanjh, who's now internationally taken the music industry, but you see the stars first. You had Sidhu Moosewala. You saw the star first. That this guy belongs to a land called Punjab or a community, and these guys are actually, they're really great at integrating, and they're great at understanding, and they have values, and they're actually great givers. They feed so many people. So I think when I look at the positive angle, I think there's so many positives
100%.
that we could think about that actually and great. You know, the guy who created the reason we have internet today. He was at the start. You know, the fiber line that he created.
Oh, yes, I do. Optic fiber.
Optic fiber.
Yes,
So again, I think, you know, there's probably so many other great people are missing, and I think having them as role models, or having them to now obviously surfaced a lot more because we have different social media platforms, and we're getting knowledge sent to us a lot more, and people are creating small pieces. You know, I think it's great. And my outset, and whenever I'm actually, believe it or not, whenever I'm posting on LinkedIn or I'm posting something, it's not about me boasting or saying I'm doing this. It's actually I want somebody to look at what I'm doing and feel comfortable to post.
Yep, 100%.
I think the problem we have is we sometimes don't feel comfortable, or we don't know how to actually talk about our success. We're a community that just get on with it. We're very, very hard working. And even if you look in Europe, and I'm sure in Australia and UK and Canada, I'm sure we're a community that get on with it. But also, and you know, they want to have a bit of a fun time and cause commotion. But that's part and parcel of life, I suppose. है ना? दोनों चीज़ें ठीक.
ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਕਿਹੜੇ ਟਾਈਮ ਤੇ ਇਦਾਂ ਲੱਗਾ ਕਿ obviously parents, you had a good start, but again the empire, I would say, that you have created through Brit Asia and the other businesses you had, ਆਪਣੀ ਲਾਈਫ ਦਾ ਆਪੇ ਇੰਚਾਰਜ ਹੋਣਾ ਪੈਂਦਾ ਉਹ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਕ੍ਰੀਏਟ ਕਰਨ ਵਾਸਤੇ. So at what time probably the youngest age you thought about ਕਿ ਹਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਕੁਝ ਕਰਨਾ out of the box?
I would say at 16.
Okay.
The reason being is that I realised that actually pੜ੍ਹਾਈ is not for me. ਨਹੀਂ ਸਾਡੇ ਦਿਮਾਗ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਨਹੀਂ ਜਾਂਦੀ, because I'm always thinking about business, or I was always thinking about ਪੈਸੇ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਬਣਾਈਏ ਜਾਂ ਹੋਰ ਕੋਈ scheme. So my ਦਿਮਾਗ was always sitting with people who are elder, driving bigger cars, bigger houses. How did they get there? What did they do that I don't know about? I wasn't interested about, I'm now going to go to college, and now I'm going to go to university. I'm going to spend 6-7 years of my life. What's the strategy? Everyone else is in the same door. Or we we're being competitive.
Yep.
And then we're running in that same process. And we might learn an education structure, and we might learn, and knowledge might be a little bit better when we come out of university, and we might have made some great friends. But for me, it was about, hold on, I need to now position myself that actually, because I'm not that great in studies, I need to now think about a different journey. So from that age of 16, I then started navigating and looking at what can I study, or what can I do to make money at the same time. So my dimag was, thoda padhai kar lunga, but ਉਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਪੈਸਾ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਹੋਊਗਾ. So at that time in the UK, apprenticeships ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਹੋਈ ਸੀ. So I was lucky that there was apprenticeships around that time. So I got an apprenticeship with Rover. It was a car industry company. And at the same time, they send you to college. And at the same time, you come to work and you get paid. ਮੈਂ ਕਿਹਾ ਇਹ ਰਸਤਾ ਮਿਲੇ, because in 6-7 years I learned enough ਪੈਸਾ. So calculation ਦਿਮਾਗ ਕਰਨਾ ਪਿਆ, calculation ਇੰਨੇ save ਕਰਨੇ ਆ, ਨਾਲ ਦੀ ਨਾਲ ਕੰਮ ਕਰੀ ਜਾਓਗੇ, ਨਾਲ ਦੀ ਨਾਲ we'll get a degree, or we'll get something to keep the parents happy. Yeah. That's what it is. And then at least I'll have X amount of money. But then what happened, because I come from a very large family, I have 5 sisters and another brother, so 7 of us. So then my mind, because what happens is when you start working, you're surrounded by different people, work, and what they learn, what they want to take off their chest is they're talking about their family pressures, they're talking about bachche nahi sonde, they talk about aani hoya, oni hoya. So the guys, so think about it, if I'm an apprentice, I have to work with somebody who's maybe twice my age, and he will then teach us how to become an electrical engineer within that industry. But then what happens is there's so many people that you're surrounded with, you almost overhear certain galan, their issues and problems. So you almost think in your head, I want to avoid this in my life. I want to make sure this doesn't come to me. What can I do? So what I'm trying to say is banda siana ho janda. ਉਹ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਸੁਣ ਕੇ it depends now some people think I'm not interested
but also at the same time ਕਈ ਵਾਰੀ ਇਦਾਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਸੁਣ ਕੇ ਬੰਦਾ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਯਾਰ ਮਤਲਬ ਮੈਂ ਸਿੱਧੀ ਅਗਰ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਾਂ ਬੰਦਾ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਯਾਰ ਮੈਂ ਵਿਆਹ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਾਉਣਾ it can actually go the opposite way as well
I think ਜਿਹੜੇ ਬੰਦੇ ਵਿਆਹੇ ਆ ਉਹ ਹਰ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਵਿਆਹ ਕਰਕੇ ਕਿਉਂ ਕਰਾਇਆ ਸੀ
ਜਿਹਨੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਾਇਆ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਤਾਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਤੂੰ ਫਸ ਦੂੰਗੀ ਨਾਲ ਹੀ ਸਾਡੇ
I think it's a good point because again, do you look at a marriage as a business partnership or do you look at it as a long-term structure? Reality, ਕਿਸੇ ਨੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਬੰਦਿਆਂ ਚੋਂ ਇਹ ਗੱਲ they're too scared to think about it. If you go back and say, ਭਾਜੀ ਵਿਆਹ ਕਿਉਂ ਕੀਤਾ? ਰੋਟੀ ਕੌਣ ਪਕਾਊਗਾ? ਘਰ ਕੌਣ ਸਾਫ਼ ਕਰੂਗਾ? If you talk to our generation, we wanted companionship. We wanted to share a journey and travel and see the world together with a companion. If you talk to now generation, they will say, listen, what job is she and how much is she earning? How much am I earning and how quick can we grow an empire? So does business actually come into it now? Because the DNA is actually, we have got a streak of, in our Punjabis, we can't help ourselves. Sadi DNA ਚ ਲਿਖਿਆ ਦਾ ਆਪਾਂ ਪੰਗਾ ਤਾਂ ਲੈਣਾ ਹੀ ਲੈਣਾ ਕਿਤੇ ਤੋਂ ਕਿਤੇ ਆਹ ਸੌਦਾ ਲਾਉਣਾ ਉਹ ਕਰ ਲਓ ਉਹ ਟੋਪੀ ਲਾ ਲਓ do something we have to do something ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਇਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦਾ so what I'm saying to you is the new generation now looking at actually if I get married to this person I could foresee my future and success a little bit quicker so now are we in that era we don't know because we never
probably not a good thing right in terms of if you just look at it as a business in terms of values.
But again, you could see if they're both on the same level. What I'm saying is, if you're both on the same, so let's just say, let's fast forward. I'm 22. I'm going to get married. I think the first thing I'll ask my wife is, what's your long-term goal, and how are we going to achieve it, and what we're going to get there.
Yes.
But what I actually asked her when I first met her was, do you want to see the world? Do you want to travel? Do you want to go and see mountains? Do you want to go and do something differently? And business and structure and everything was later. जब बन गया ठीक है जो नहीं बने alright yeah. You know what I mean? मारता नहीं चलने. It was that concept.
Yes.
So now I'm saying is the new generation looking and actually I personally think that they're going to look at how quick because don't forget now I think what we have to remember is our generation are not going to see them struggles. Our generation is going to be a lot more educated because we're able to afford the private schools and we're able to afford tuition and we're able to afford new technologies for them to use to then compete in a different manner. Their mindsets, they've grown up in an era of tech.
Yes.
So the whole process is going to be now. If I said to my daughter, I found a lovely guy, but he doesn't drive. But you drive a very nice car. She would be like, yara kiya. You might be a nice guy, but he can't afford a goodie. I'm just giving a kind of a concept, an example. I'm not saying my daughter's going to think like that, but I'm saying the new generation will say, well, hold on, I'm brought up with this. This is my norm. I'm not going to go back because मैं आगे जाना है.
Or at a similar level.
Or similar level. So what I'm saying is so when you look at business, are we now looking at 3-4 different layers of business? ਹੁਣ ਤੱਕ ਲਈ ਉਹ ਗੱਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਰਹੇਗੀ that ਮੈਂ ਯਾਰ ਇੰਡੀਆ ਤੋਂ ਆਇਆ and I was working here you know ਫਾਰਮਾ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਫਾਰਮਾ ਤੋਂ I got lucky and ਮੈਂ ਥੋੜੀ ਪੜ੍ਹਾਈ ਲਿਖ ਲਈ and then I got a job and now I'm a IT engineer and I'm earning £100,000 10 years down the line I'm going to get married that struggle doesn't exist to a certain degree now the struggle now is the guy now that same guy wants to say Paji, मैं पक्का कितना हो जाऊँ, but I also want to make sure the first thing in his head is I have to get a nice car and I have to get a house. The struggle was actually मैंने job कितना मिलूगी. So दुनिया भी change होगी हना पर लागे आगे.
Struggles have changed as well.
Struggles have changed. So when we talk about business, I think now I'm not saying that you should look at that. I'm saying business, the new generation are going to look at every point of view, moving forward in their lives, what school their children go to. Who do they hang around with? Are they on the same level? So we're going into a different system now, I feel. And now AI is around. You know, there's going to be so much, you know, as a big disruptor, but are we going to embrace it or are we going to moan about it? And then when quantum computers come in and nobody's thought about it or no one's talking about that, that's going to take away the cybersecurity and you'll be able to crack anything. So where does that leave the industry? And then when robots come out, people are like, ब्याह की करना यार robot के नाल ब्याह
Robot
करता
का काम करा लो
They never get tired.
never get tired गल्लां मारते रहंदे साडे नाल
So what degree the baad, what was your next step after you did the apprenticeship?
So what I done is I basically saved. Well, actually, my father saved the money because when I said that I'm from a big family background, I felt actually responsible that getting, and you know how Asian weddings are in UK. You know, lakhan pound up alalande beyond and think about it back then when I had to get my, in early 90s, we had to get my sisters married. I thought, hold on, this is a lot of burden on my father. And my father was actually at the time, humble beginnings, was just a bus driver, and he was then he became the president of one of the first Gurdwara in the UK, and then his career and legacy continued from there on. My mum was working in a sewing machine factory, like many other women at the time, and she would then obviously make sure that we wake up on time and food's cooked, and then at the same time do the work. So what I did then, payslip mildi hundi si. So I just used to give the payslip to my dad and think, chalo rehndo. So every week I just gave it to my dad because I thought there's a lot of us who it's hard to get everyone educated.
Yeah.
My sister then, my eldest sister, was then going into university, and she was really good, in education. My second eldest sister, she was in the process of getting married actually. So my father got her married off very young at the age of 19. Her family, they spotted her at a wedding, and the family, they're from a business family. And actually her father-in-law was one of the first guys to have a corner shop in the 60s.
All right.
So, and I think they knew my father's friends or from somewhere, and there was a close link. So I think what happened then is I just felt responsible. So like I said, thoda banda 16 years old, I'm not very good in Parai. I need to understand the process, but I need money to live. And then what happens is I think I had to grow up very quickly. I think that was the process. And then I thought, hold on. So the maturity came in a little bit quickly. And then what actually happened at the age of 20, my dad said, actually, just to let you know, I've saved all that money that you've been giving me over these 4 years. And here's the money. Now it's up to you what you want to do. Either blow it, either invest it, or either do whatever you want. We're not from a business background. We're from a very religious background. Sanu Rabb to dar hai. Yeah, and we're kheti bhani getting our hands dirty. That's the community we're from. Do there, if you think you could do it. So, at that age, at 20, I thought I'm the biggest entrepreneur in the world. And I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And very quickly, I had a lot of friends because I had money.
Yep.
So then you think, hold on, I've got friends, but are they here for the right reasons? And then you've got to learn this journey. So Banda learns a journey then of spending money, and I lost some of the money. And then ohi gal aa gayi sat ka ke fir sek gaya that, hold on, I lost almost £15,000. At that age, at 20, was a lot of money.
50,000,
yes. Yeah, and I've lost that money, and I'm thinking what I'm going to do and how I'm going to structure this. And then I was introduced to, fast forward, I kept working, and then, and obviously my pay kept going up, so it was a good work, it was a good job. But I realized, because the pay's so good, people stay in this job. And I looked around and I thought, these guys are now coming up to their 50s. Theek hai, ghar hege hai, Sony gaddiyan bhi hain, they're comfortable, their kids are comfortable. But is this for me? Is this my life? I don't think it is. So what I do is I question myself.
Yeah.
Is this what's written for me? Or is this my destiny? How can I change it? But anyway, what's the process? I need to do something. There's got to be a different plan for me.
Yeah.
I'm not going to stick in this road because I just had this feeling, sometimes I don't know why.
Yeah.
I had this feeling that this is not my destiny. I want to do business, and I don't know what business I want to do, but I want to do business. And the concept wasn't I want to make money and make millions. The concept was I just want to be a businessman. I felt good. I want to wear a suit. I want a nice car. I just want to do business. Yep. I don't know what business. at that age. And then when I got married, I brought her. So my wife's from Chandigarh, and they had a school in Chandigarh, and my mother-in-law was in politics at the time, and my father was obviously president of Samitik Gurdwara, and they knew each other. And she had come on an exchange program. She was representing India at the time, and my dad's actually best friend was the first Sikh lord in the UK. His name was Daseem Kang, but they used to call him Daseem King. So at the time there was some meetings or something going on, and then my mother-in-law discussed that, look, we're looking for a guy for my daughter, and then I was introduced, and we kind of got on really well. And then, you know, my dad said, well, one of my children need to go back and get married in Punjab. So, you know, we took 50, 60 of us back to India and we got married. So at that point, I thought, hold on, there's another responsibility now. I have to, not only did I have that responsibility of my siblings, but now actually there's a responsibility here that I'm married and I have to think about my future. So I brought a business. I brought a shop, a spa shop with a post office. And me and my wife ran that. And we ran it in an area where 99.9% were white people. So very difficult for us to manage that area and be a different community. So you could imagine at the age of 23.
What year was that, Paji?
2003.
Okay.
And it was a spa shop, you said?
Yeah, like a spa and a post office, convenience store.
Okay, convenience store.
So I went into that line of business.
Okay.
Then what happened? While I'm running that business, yes, we made loads of money. Yes, I made property. Yes, we bought nice cars. Yes, we had a great lifestyle. But something kept coming into my head, that I started working out my profits. Then I broke it down and I worked out what am I worth a year. Then I broke down what am I worth a month. Then I worked out what I'm worth a week. And then I worked out what I'm worth a day. So then I looked at what is my value and what should I be, and where do I feel my value should look at. And the problem we have is we go into businesses or we go into jobs or we try and do something, but we don't value ourselves. We don't understand what the value is on day one and what value we bring to the table. That could be a network and so on. So me standing on a till and running a post office, which at that time was good because it was government run, am I worth this per hour? And in my head it said, no. Can I make more money out there doing something different than this? So my brain started telling me, actually, yes, this is a great life, but you're not going to have a connectivity with your children because you're going to be stuck in this business, and it's such a fast-paced business. You have to keep your eyes on it. A lot of theft, a lot of you've got staff issues, you've got this issues, and so on and so on. So then, believe it or not, I made the decision that actually it's not about money. It's about where I want to see my life and with my children and their future. So then I sold the business. Now, that's where my wealth started from, because selling the business, selling the properties that I had built from the business, then started another vision. I came back, that was in Warrington. I then came back into Birmingham, and then I invested in a estate agency business, because at that time, अपने Punjabis who had worked so much, they had earned a lot of money, paisa bahut si, and then they started buying cheap houses. So a lot of families now who have got over 50 properties, 100 properties, they brought in the 2000s, and they would have paid anywhere between 20 to 80,000 pound or 60,000. Them houses today are worth 300,000. But the rental income they would have got, they're comfortable. They don't need to do anything. They're probably earning the passive income that they've created is 20,000, 100,000. So what did the estate agency teach me? All these people buying off me have passive income. They've got money in the bank, but they've got passive income. So my brain now started understanding that actually by buying X amount of properties is going to give me a passive income. And this is the way to do it. And I just need to put down the cheapest rate possible at 10% of 5% on properties, and try and do a investment vehicle, turn that into an investment vehicle and take that passive income. But then that didn't excite me, because I thought, chalo ho gaya, 2 ਘਰ ਲੈ ਲਏ 2 ਹੋਰ ਲੈ ਲੂੰਗੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਉਹਦੀ ਪੈਸਿਵ ਇਨਕਮ 20,000 ਆ ਜੇ ਉਹਦੇ ਹੋਰ ਡਿਪੋਜ਼ਿਟ ਲੱਖ ਲਓ that's the process isn't it
yes
so you buy 2 houses you generate the wealth you don't touch it you pay your taxes and then whenever that grows in 2 years or whatever time you go and buy another 2 properties
use
you
that
just
to
keep
get a
building
loan and
and then you just do interest only you play on the capital appreciation you refinance at the right time when the market's moved and then you use that funds to either drop the mortgage down and then it's cost you nothing and then you've built a small empire with passive income technically you could retire that's the concept that was the concept at that time but I liked it and I created the same thing by the way but I couldn't stick with that I thought no there's something else so the problem with Kira and it started going that I just couldn't help myself the whole course on there's got to be something else in this and we've got to understand as a like I always say that who do we look at as a community or who do we inspire to you know I think it's important to say like the Jewish community have done successfully well and they work on 3 pillars political politics and
they created the Hollywood pretty much
and media you know and I think if you look at that kind of model and structure they're way ahead we're a little bit where everyone else is playing kind of catch up but if you look at us as a community we're probably the most progressive 90% of us own our own property 35% I'm just giving you UK statistics 35% of us have our own business or a second source of income you know so we're very very progressive and we're going to get there our instinct is you know we've got that tahi kende sheran di kaum hai because when we go into something we don't look back piche nahi rakhna we're going in for the kill so hence why because we're not worried we're not going to look back this has to succeed and I've kind of used everything that I've done or any business or any and don't get me wrong there's failed businesses that I haven't spoke about there's investments that I've done that went wrong but it's fine because as long as you understand the formula of business you're going to make money you're going to make money because it's just a formula the formula of marriage and a successful marriage is you have to ladaiyan honi hai but guess what you're going to have a happiness time and you're going to give a better a life to your children you're going to have a headache from them the reality is when you're born you're going to have you're going to go nursery you're going to go school you're going to have your first crush nobody talks about it you're going to have a girlfriend nobody talks about it your heart's going to get broken you're not thinking about pesa then and then you're going to go to college you're going to hopefully think I'm going to meet the girl of my dreams then she goes off with another guy and then you actually meet the girl that you should be with you have lovely children with her you then spend the rest of your life working hard and making sure your children are good they then turn around and say chalo sada time aa gaya because they're going to go through that same cycle you've just done
again
and that whole same process you've just been through but just in a different era and a different time and then next minute you know we're siane and we're thinking who's going to look after us where are we going to go now are we going to go into a home or will our children going to look after us or are we going to keep fighting over Jamina in India or are we going to start fighting over bachchiyan nu kehno na dena ghar or what's going to happen or and then you die there's your life there's your statistics if you're smart kos bana lo legacy leave a legacy create something that you're going to help other people and get you know because the concept started from Guru Nanak Dev Ji his father gave him 20 rupees my father said there's your pay slip chakko do what you want with it baki teri marzi hai so if you keep that in your concept or you're in the back of your conscious mind that actually langar it's lagi jande all over the world business you could do anytime formula seklo so I've probably gone on a bit of a 360 in a whirlwind but the reality is we've only got a short time people think koi gal nahi bana lunge paisa theek hai you're right bana lunge some people say actually we want to focus on our children's education we don't want to go on holiday we don't want nice clothes we don't want to do nothing we just want to focus on their education the children become so educated they forget the parents then what happens so why are we not thinking actually we have to live life in a balance balance rakho yaar no problem je bhangre bhi pone pa lo
I think most people
je ਪਾਠ ਵੀ ਕਰਨਾ ਪਾਠ ਵੀ ਕਰੋ
most people are stuck ਜਦੋਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਿਹਾ ਨਾ ਕਿ I wanted to sell the convenience store.
Yeah.
I think most
can't let
people are
go.
stuck there. They're waiting for the perfect time to do it. क्योंकि ਉਹ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ sell ਕਰਕੇ ਲੱਗਾ ਹੋਊਗਾ ਕਿ I do have the confidence that I can go bigger, and then you have that next thing, and then you like, oh, I can have something bigger. तो ਜਿਹੜੀ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਅੰਦਰੋਂ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਆਵਾਜ਼ ਆਉਂਦੀ ਹੈ ਜਿਹਨੂੰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਿਹਾ ਕੀੜਾ ਉਹ maybe that everyone doesn't have it, I think.
I think what happens is very quickly, what I've actually, the lesson I learned is paisa makes money, money makes money.
Money makes money.
So I was like, okay, I'm going to sell this
Marriage
business.
makes money too. Like you were saying, bro.
Absolutely. Again, what I was going to say is that, look, you know, I think we have to think about, if paisa makes paisa, then what's the concept of how we work as a community? What makes us go that extra mile, or what makes us be progressive, and what makes us care about a community and care about other communities and care about and fight for the other countries? It's a concept that's been distilled in us, and I'll explain what it is. It's the Gurbani we listen to. So I'll give you a simple example. In Japji Sahib, in the mornings, we say, there's a line that says, De sabun laye otoye, hai na? So we talk about the mind, and a lot of people won't understand it. Like, what do you mean, the mind's dirty? What do you mean? It's the thoughts that we're having, or what's the concept, or what does it mean? So I'll explain it to you, what happens, and what my this is my personal, I don't want to think, you know, I've created, this is my personal viewpoint. How do we know if we're connected, or are we just in a process of main ta paisa hi banona baki chhaddo duniya nu? How do we understand what kind of people we are as a human being? Because we've got to think deeper. It's not about tika we make money, but then what are you going to do? Are you going to leave it to charity? No, you're not. The reality is, then I would say, banda bahut vadiya si yaar, inne paise banaye, charity nu chhad gaya, next generation saam gaya. But the reality is, when you're in money, you're controlled by that paisa to a certain degree, unless you don't have a purpose, or you don't have a different feeling or a process that you're going to go through. Let me give you an analogy. Let's say we go to the Sanyara now, and we're up us kara lena sone da. Now they put that, is it what's that madiyai? What do they call it? They like the kala stuff that they add to it.
What is it called? You know what
I'm trying to say. So they don't give you pure gold.
Yeah. They add something.
Is that like extra? I forgot what it's called in Punjabi. That little bit of loha, metal, whatever it is, just to make the weight. Yeah. But then when we go and sell the sona, they're like, oh, kaad ke paise dene. Oh, sone da kalla dena. Yeah. So they take that out.
Yeah.
They say, oh, pa kalla dena sone da. So think of this now. When we listen to Bani, our man says, yaar, time ho gaya. Can't listen to this that much. That's that kala thing.
Okay.
Saying to you, oh, kaat ke sone to kaat ke, that actually Rab de naal theek thaak hai, na jinne jude hai, theek hai, but that's that pulling you away. Because that's the maya, isn't it? That's the money. We got to quickly run to work and make the money. Paisa, we got to make the paisa.
It's the void.
It's the void. That's what I'm saying. So, how then do you think in your mindset, well, actually, I don't want to be that. I just want to be, I'm not going to say we're going to be pure gold, or we want to be 100% pure, because it's impossible. But that gives you an indication that if you can't listen, if you could only listen to Bani for 5 minutes and your mind's gone, that gives you a rationale where you are in your life. There's your indication, without doing any by doing any research or getting a therapist or whatever, just to tell you in your life that how close you are to God and how close you're not. How come we don't talk about that? How come we don't talk about, I'm now going to use my money to set up something that's going to be future generation for the next 50 to 100 years? But I also want to remember the process of, I also want to remember God, and I also want to make sure we do better in this world. So I think what I'm trying to say is that if you don't have a balance, you're going to go one way or you go the other way. How come we don't talk about the people who have a balance? And I think what I would like to say, and where I am in my life, and And yes, nice things excite me, but I don't focus on the money. I focus on humanitarian. If I launch the first Sikh channel in the world, I don't advertise it anywhere. I say Maharaj gave me the seva. You know, there's guys here around me still here, Gurpreet Sandhu, there's so many other Munde that were with me at the time when we launched them channels. I don't say I done it. Team then and did God give them the same seva? We can't do Kirtan, we probably can't do Vichar, but guess what? We had an opportunity to create a vehicle at that time that was our a way to give back to the community. And did UK need it at that time? Absolutely. Because we only had a voice in the Gurdwara, we didn't have an international or national voice, so we created the channel. You know, and everyone part of it, it was a great opportunity for the Sikh community to now talk about who we are, what we've done, where our Pashokar comes from, as a community, how strong we are, how much we've contributed to this country, how much tax we pay to this country. The conversation opened up. I remember answering phone calls in the studio in the first month, and the lady said, "Mere ghar de vich nera si." I said, "Auntie, light la lo." "Nahi." She goes, "Oh, nera nahi." She goes, "Nera da mera prona roj honda hunda si, menu kattda si sharab pee ke." She goes, "Jadon da channel lagga," she goes, "Hanu nu pata nahi ki ho gaya, he's listening to the Bani because Bani lagi hai. He's listening to the conversations." So for me, I was like, listen, I'm glad it's supported or helped somebody or changed somebody's life. So since from that day, my mind was always about, well, what can I do for others? Or how can I help our community? Or what can I leave when we're not here in this world? What can I leave behind? And I think the industry we're in is evergreen. It will still be here when you, me, and everyone else is not here, because it will keep going. So if we could create, like what you're doing with podcasts is evergreen, somebody hopefully will listen to this conversation and say, you know what, it's okay. It's okay to be down here, and it's okay. The guys who are up there are probably even lonely. So let's be here. Let's live in a balance, and let's not. My father used to say, "Kise de pakkiyan kanda kachiyan na bana liya. Tu aapna kachiya kanda na bana liya." In the English terminology is living up with the Joneses. Yeah. So don't look at the guy who's brought the Mercedes and now you want to pay, but you can't afford it, and you're going to put yourself into debt. That concept we should forget about, because that concept we've seen very clearly in Punjab. That concept in the farmers' protest, and you can see the suicide rates of farmers in Punjab, because that concept is, have they now tried to live, or they're not getting enough money, but the value of the land is worth enough, so they're getting lending from the banks, and then the children want to go out and the money's being used for that. But the reality is, did we have a strong enough media at the time when they needed it? And did international media listen to us when farmers' protest was taking place? The question is no. It took a black woman to voice the concerns of a Sikh and a great artist, Rihanna.
Yeah. She
posted that what's happening to this community, and then we got the international exposure. So we might say, Hanji, we're in the best community, but you never had the media outlet at that time. That should have been a wake-up call, that we had to rely on somebody else's voice and platform to then get their recognition. So that showed us we're not even there when it comes to even media, to a certain degree.
100%.
And that's why now my brain with BritAsia TV is actually, it's a great platform where it represents all communities. And I think if I use that as a voice, and I want to create enough shows and enough, leave it as that legacy of a voice that actually we're here to talk about, and we're talking about topics and conversations that actually are going to better a community, or better our community, or better, and let people understand who we are. I think, why not? And Panjabi Maa Boli, to be honest with you, if I said to you, we've spent £12 million and we've given back to the Panjabi Maa Boli, and that's what it's cost to keep BritAsia alive over the years. We haven't asked for 1 pence. Ek penny nahi mangi from the community. But we've invested 12 million. Why? because Punjabi maa boli was important to us. Not Tony needs to be famous, or my cousin needs to become a singer, or somebody else. No, that wasn't the concept. If that was the concept, then that's what we'll be doing. The concept was, let's keep that language alive because it's spoken by Hindu Punjabi, Christian Punjabi, Sikh Punjabi, Muslim Punjabi. 250 million people around the world speak Punjabi, and yet we're saying, Punjab diyan gallan na karo. Haran di gall hai yaar. So,
yeah, it's funny.
you know, we come from the mitti. It's on two sides of the country. And, I'm blessed to say, because sometimes I used to question myself, what am I doing in this channel? I've just launched the Sikh channel. It take I don't understand the concept, but now I realized this is a very strong, powerful platform that actually reaches millions, because it reaches different communities. In the Sikh channel, I was just reaching one community.
Yeah.
I'm reaching 6, 7, 8 different communities here. When we done the first collaboration with Sidhu, Steel Bangles, Mist, and Steph London, and they performed at my awards. It's on YouTube. You'll see the Brit Asia Music Awards. We then reached out to a different community. That was amazing. So now we're reaching different heights. And if you Sidhu's in his interviews, he talks about this era, and then he talks about, after the awards, Drake followed him. So you got this big international superstar following this Bagwala from Punjab.
Yeah.
And again, it's down to what? The music.
Yeah.
It was down to, because music is a universal language of the world. And if you think about sound and frequency, it's connected to us.
Yeah.
Somewhere down the line.
100%,
Do you see what I mean? So my whole concept and thought process has been around.
So basically, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਦਾਂ ਦਾ ਕੋਈ ਪਲੇਟਫਾਰਮ ਕ੍ਰੀਏਟ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹੋ ਜਿੱਥੇ we can have a voice, we can have an impact. ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਰਿਹਾਨਾ ਦਾ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਕਿ we don't have anything. ਜੇ ਕੱਲ ਨੂੰ ਇਦਾਂ ਕੁਝ ਹੋਰ ਡਿਫਰੈਂਟ ਚੀਜ਼ ਹੋ ਜੇ, where are we going to raise the voice? ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਜੇ ਉਹ ਇਦਾਂ ਦੀ ਚੀਜ਼ I think ਇੰਡੀਆ 'ਚ ਹੁੰਦੀ, then someone probably would have taken control of this straight away. And at least in UK, you have that freedom to do those things.
So you touched a range of things in the past few minutes. ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਆਪਣੀ ਸੈਲਫ ਅਸੈਸਮੈਂਟ ਦਿਓ, ਜਿੰਨਾ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਅਸੈਸ ਕਰਿਆ ਕਿ I just saw a bit of a trend. Initial stage ਤੋਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ obviously ਪੜ੍ਹਾਈ 'ਚ ਇੰਨਾ interested ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀਗੇ, and then you always chose like that unconventional way of doing things. Like ਪੜ੍ਹਾਈ ਤੋਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੇਖਿਆ ਵੀ ਯਾਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਬਿਜ਼ਨਸ ਵੱਲ ਨੂੰ ਜਾਣਾ ਜਾਂ ਕਿਤੇ ਹੋਰ ਜਾਣਾ, ਅਤੇ ਉਦੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਵੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜਦ ਕਨਵੀਨੀਅੰਸ ਸਟੋਰ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਵੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ you took the risk. You want to do something else. Do you think this was coming from a place of where you felt I want more? ਕਿ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਕਮੀ ਫੀਲ ਹੋ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਕਿਸੇ ਚੀਜ਼ ਦੀ, ਕਈ ਵਾਰੀ ਇੱਕ ਸੈਟਿਸਫੈਕਸ਼ਨ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੁਣ ਆਪਾਂ ਫਾਈਨੈਂਸ਼ਲੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰੀਏ, ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਜਿੰਨੇ ਮਰਜ਼ੀ ਆਪਾਂ ਪੈਸੇ ਕਮਾ ਲਈਏ, you will always feel that like you want more.
What's next?
Right? What's next? Where was that like inspiration or the fire coming from to always do more?
I think it was a level of pushing myself. I realized actually by the age of 50, I set myself a target. I want to achieve literally everything I want in my life. I want to achieve it by 50. So it was me pushing myself, saying 50 to baad, jo hega, thank God and be humble and have gratitude of whatever you've done. If anything comes after that, it's a bonus. So when you change your mindset and you think like that, then it doesn't matter. You either take it, you don't take it. There's no race, there's no worry, there's no tension, because you've made enough money and you're comfortable. Baki, everything else is good. But I push myself from that 16, and I've said to myself, 50 tak shera jinna khech sakda khechla. Make the pesa, make the properties, build a empire, and do what you can.
ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਟਾਰਟਿੰਗ ਤੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਸੀ ਕਿ what things I don't know they know, ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਇਹੋ ਜਿਹਾ ਕੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਉਹ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ, ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਫਾਈਨਲੀ ਕੁਛ ਇੱਦਾਂ ਦਾ ਰਿਅਲਾਈਜ਼ ਹੋਇਆ ਫਿਰ ਕਿ ਓਕੇ these are the things, obviously you're doing those now because you're I think you're at that level. ਕਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਉਹ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ if let's just say if you talking to your 16-year-old version, what would you say to him? Make sure you don't do this thing, and or make sure you do these things if you want to be successful.
Don't give your parents a hard time, because at 60 we're healthy. Bahar jana, try your best to to be grounded. And I would say, to be honest, I think maybe I could have been a little bit more collaborative. I tried to do everything on my own. And I think if I had just been a little bit more collaborative and used some of the resources around me, I think that would have been a little bit more a safe bet. I tried to achieve and try to do everything on my own. And I think if I look at my siblings and I look at my cousins and I look at everyone around me, they kind of had a lot of support system where I think I just tried to do it on my own and got on with it. And I think maybe that's probably, I'm a little bit more resilient. I'm a bit more, I'm a bit more harder, where others might be a little bit more emotional, or they might get a little bit, you know, these things don't bother me. You're still my banda. You're still at rest. These things is like zero for me.
Yeah.
You know, if I look at my sister becoming, you know, the first Sikh MP in the UK, and my brother-in-law, Tandesi, becoming, you know, again, the first, and we're talking about Sardari. He's the first Sardar Sikh. And then my other sister, she became a councillor for a different party in Cheshire, but she won the seat in a 99.9% white community. So, you know, it's a great achievement for her. So I think what's happened is the vision and the concepts of our parents have drilled in us. And don't forget, we grew up technically around a community. And when I go to the Gurdwara and I see the Sevadars or my dad's friends who've been in the committees, I actually see him as community, as like almost a part of our family technically, because we've seen them all these years. And I think what I could have done is I could have used that a little bit more. I think I'd done it the hard way, and I had so much structure around me, I didn't use it. So that's probably what I would say to my 16-year-old, that, you know, you don't have to go through all the hardships. There's probably easier ways of doing it.
That's crazy.
ਮੈਂ ਨਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ collaborative ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਸੀ,
ਹਾਂਜੀ।
it would be better to be more collaborative. ਤੁਸੀਂ ਪੁਰਾਣੀ ਸਟੋਰੀ ਵੀ ਦੱਸ ਰਹੇ ਕਿ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਪੇਰੈਂਟਸ ਜਾਂ ਸਾਰੀ ਫੈਮਿਲੀ ਇਕੱਠੇ ਮਿਲ ਕੇ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਬਿਲਡ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਸੀਗੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਨੂੰ। ਤਾਂ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਹੁਣ ਅੱਜ ਕੱਲ੍ਹ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਾਂ ਕਿ ਅੱਜ ਕੱਲ੍ਹ it's a lot about you know, everyone talks about being independent and stuff like that. So there's less talking about collaborative, and ਹਰ ਕੋਈ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਜਦ ਕੋਲੈਬੋਰੇਟ ਕਰਨ ਦੀ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੋ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਕਈ ਜਗ੍ਹਾ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਨੀਵਾਂ ਵੀ ਹੋਣਾ ਪੈਣਾ,
ਹਾਂਜੀ,
ਝੁਕਣਾ ਵੀ ਪਊਗਾ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ, ਕਿਤੇ ਸੁਣਨਾ ਵੀ ਪੈਣਾ, ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਪੇਸ਼ੈਂਸ ਚਾਹੀਦੀ ਆ ਉਹ ਚੀਜ਼ ਲਈ। ਉਹ ਚੀਜ਼ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਅੱਜ ਕੱਲ੍ਹ ਇੰਨੀ ਵਰਕ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰ ਰਹੀ। ਆਈ ਨੋ ਇਟਸ ਗੁੱਡ ਕਿ ਕੋਲੈਬੋਰੇਟ 100%, ਕਿੱਥੇ ਇੱਕ ਬੰਦਾ ਇਕੱਲਾ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ, ਕਿੱਥੇ 2-3 ਜਾਣੇ ਇਕੱਠੇ ਮਿਲ ਕੇ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ, ਥੋੜੀ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰੈਸ 100% ਵੱਧ ਹੋਣੀ ਆ। ਸੋ ਪਰ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਹਰ ਇੱਕ ਕੇਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਇੰਨੀ ਪੇਸ਼ੈਂਸ ਅੱਜ ਕੱਲ੍ਹ ਹੈ ਨਹੀਂ ਗੀ। I don't know where the problem is though.
It's a good question, Harry, and I think I've made more money by doing collaborative things now. So that's why I'm saying if I had done it before, I probably would have done a lot more. So now my journey it's about being collaborative.
Yeah.
If we could buy a building for 100 million and I put 10 million in and there's 10 of us, that's being collaborative. And we could probably do a lot more. I could buy 10 of them buildings, but if I've got 100 million and I've just invested in one building, I'm only ever going to have that one building. So if I'm going to invest in this franchise business and I'm going to accelerate that, I don't think I'm the best guy to look at operations. So why don't I have a partner that's been in the industry of operations? But what I'm good at is marketing and sales and finance infrastructure. And then so that's what I mean to say, that collaborative is now it's an era of let your money work for you and be smart. Well, before we worked hard, we earned our money, and it was a tough gig. And now it's about being smart and let the money work for you, because then money made money. Now let the money work. Go to sleep and don't worry, you know that paisa's coming in.
ਪਰ ਇਹ ਐਡਵਾਈਸ ਆਪਾਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੇਣ ਦੀ ਵੀ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕਰੋਗੇ ਨਾ, ਬਟ they just can't give up the control. ਇਹ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਡੀ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ।
I think you're 100% right, because you know, and you'll see that in family businesses. You'll see that you know it's hard to say ਚੱਲ ਇੱਕ ਮੁੰਡੇ ਨੂੰ ਦੇ ਦਿਓ ਉਹ ਦੂਜੇ ਨੂੰ ਨਾ ਦੇ, you control.
ਹਾਂਜੀ,
ਉੱਥੇ ਫਸ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ. So you're right, but then it's the vision of the family or the father to say, ਪੁੱਤਰ, your skills are this set. ਤੁਹਾਡਾ skill set ਆਇਆ, ਮੈਂ ਦੇਖ ਲਿਆ, you're my children, I know what your capabilities ਕੀ ਆ.
ਹਾਂਜੀ।
So I always say, look at the person's capability and give them the concept. I'll give you an example. I've just done an interview. I interviewed 3 people for presenting roles. I told them, I said, your passion and your capabilities are these. Now, they could try something else and it might not, I think I've got enough knowledge that they probably won't work.
Yeah.
But because I know what their capabilities are, they'll thrive in that and they'll get something out of it. So I think it's always about capabilities and me knowing Manpreet's capabilities are good. Actually, let's just do it. Problem is when you let other people, external people interfere in your business, so if you're going to go into business and you're going to do something, don't tell anyone. And if you're doing something great, ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਆਪ ਹੀ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗ ਜਾਣਾ.
Yeah. I like when you said, ਭਾਜੀ, ਕਿ don't tell people. ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਜਦੋਂ ਵੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਦੱਸਦੇ ਆ ਨਾ and it does impact you ਕਿਉਂਕਿ they put doubt in you ਕਿ ਉਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਹ ਕੰਮ ਨਹੀਂ ਚੱਲਣਾ, ਇਦਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਣਾ. ਤੇ and most of the time ਇਹ ਉਹੀ ਲੋਕੀ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੇ ਖੁਦ ਸਟਾਰਟ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਕਦੀ ਵੀ ਸਚਿਨ ਤੰਦੂਲਕਰ ਇਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਹੂਗਾ ਕਿ ਕ੍ਰਿਕਟ ਨਾ ਖੇਡੋ ਔਰ ਦਿਲਜੀਤ ਦੋਸਾਂਝ ਇਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਹੂਗਾ ਸਿੰਗਿੰਗ ਨਾ ਕਰੋ, ਹੈ ਨਾ.
ਹਾਂਜੀ.
ਇਹ ਉਹੀ ਬੰਦਾ ਕਹੂਗਾ ਜਿਹਨੇ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾਂ ਇਨਫ ਟਰਾਈ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੀਤਾ, ਉਹਦਾ ਚੱਲਿਆ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੁਛ. ਸੋ ਆਪਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕੇਅਰਫੁਲ ਰਹਿਣਾ ਪੈਣਾ ਕਿ ਕਿਹੜੇ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਸੁਣੀ ਹੈ ਟੂ ਐਂਡ ਆਲਵੇਜ਼ ਟਰਾਈ.
ਬਟ ਆਲਸੋ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਕੀ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਵੀ ਕਿਹੋ ਜਿਹੇ ਬੰਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਆਪਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਬਿਜ਼ਨਸ 'ਚ ਜਾਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ? ਲਾਈਕ ਵਾਟ ਸੋਰਟ ਆਫ ਕੁਆਲਿਟੀਜ਼ you look at?
I always look at the positivity ਬੰਦੇ 'ਚ ਕਿੰਨੀ ਹੈ. And I always look at that, listen, if the come goes wrong, has he got that spirit to say, ਚੜ੍ਹਦੀ ਕਲਾ ਕੋਈ ਗੱਲ ਨਹੀਂ, ਹੈ ਨਾ? So that's what I look at as banda. Is he gonna crumble that when it goes wrong? He's not my guy. If he's gonna excel when it crumbles, he's my guy. I'm gonna go in partnership. Then koi gal nahi, koi tension nahi, ohi gal aa gayi. The share goes in the jungle, piche nahi dekhna. I need them bande.
Because it's gonna wrong at some point anyway.
Kite te kite hoga, koi gal nahi, but we'll sort it out.
Yeah. And
if he's got jigra, and if he's got dam, and he's got the concept and the mindset of chaddi kala, he's our banda. ਕੋਈ ਗੱਲ ਨਹੀਂ.
ਪਰ ਇਹ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਮਨ ਫਿਗਰ ਆਊਟ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਕਰ ਸਕਦਾ ਬੰਦਾ ਵੀ ਇਹ ਜਿਗਰੇ ਵਾਲਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਜਾਂ ਪਰਸਿਸਟੈਂਟ ਹੈਗਾ, he won't give up?
This is what you have to do. Beni utni with the person you have to that you're going to go in business with and see the kind of people that are around him, see the kind of influence bande he's got around him, see where what he's up to, and ਇਹੀ ਹੁੰਦਾ. ਹਾਂਜੀ. ਹਨਾ ਪੁਰਾਣੀਆਂ 'ਚ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਸੀ ਕਿਹੜੇ ਪਿੰਡ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਜਦੋਂ ਵਿਆਹ ਕਢਾਉਣਾ ਕਿੰਨੀ ਹੀ ਉਹਦੀ ਪਹੁੰਚ ਅੱਜ ਕੀ ਹੁੰਦਾ, ਕਿੰਨੀ ਜੀ ਕਿੱਲੇ ਜ਼ਮੀਨ. So why can't we use the same analogy into business? Why can't we use the same analogy when we're doing business partnership? Why can't we pre-value and talk about exits? ਜਿਹੜੇ the ones who are even smart, they will say, ਭਾਜੀ 5 ਸਾਲ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਨਾ, exit ਆਇਆ, do you agree? ਪੰਗਾ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਕਿੱਥੇ ਹੋਣਾ? ਹੋਊਗਾ ਨਹੀਂ. ਜਦੋਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਐਕਸਿਟ ਪਲਾਨ ਕਰ ਲਈ, ਭਾਜੀ ਦਾ ਐਕਸਿਟ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਨਾ ਉਸ ਟਾਈਮ, no problem, and we'll look to, shall we go 2 ways at that time? Because we would have earned enough money, and if we have run this trajectory and worked a 5-year structure, we would have made enough money anyway. Either we part, we stay together, but there's 3 options. And let's tell the accountant, these are the options, ਲਿਖਾਈ ਕਰਕੇ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਕਰ ਲਓ. How come we don't think like that? ਨਹੀਂ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਕੋਟਾ 'ਚ ਜਾਓ 2 ਮਿਲੀਅਨ ਪਾਉਂਡ ਖਰਚੋ ਵੀ ਕਿੱਲਾ ਨੂੰ, because ਉਹ ਵਧੀਆ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਲੱਗਦਾ. Why? ਆਪਾਂ
ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਵੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਸੀ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਸਟਾਰਟ ਇੱਦਾਂ ਕਰਦੇ, ਨਹੀਂ ਇਹ ਭਰਾ ਆਪਣਾ, ਆਪਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਲੜਦੇ, ਇੱਦਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਦੇ. But when you know when the money is coming, you know who's going to change.
Money can cause a lot of issues.
It's the ego, isn't it? The ego and money. These are the 2 things. If you have humbleness and gratitude, will win that. ਇਹ 2 ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ that will win it.
100%. ਭਾਜੀ. At the end, I'm just going to finish with asking this question ਕਿ ਜੱਜ ਤੋਂ in the future 50 ਸਾਲ ਬਾਅਦ, if your story is told, what you want the headline to be?
Very good question. Probably Sardari is really important to me. That yaar munde ne he kept his Sardari cam and he made money, but then also he looked about a community and he cared about others, and he gave people opportunities, and he used his platform for greater good. And he spread positivity. And all the people around me, if I'm going to be totally honest with you, are great people who have shaped part of my life, of me being here. So jinne mere dost ya munde who have supported me, some of them have got banks, the first Panjabi, some of them have got big cash and carries, and so on and so on. And even my team, and even bande, my wife, my children, my sisters, my parents, it's also a support mechanism. without them, I think I'll be nothing. So I always want to be known to say, well, he was a great family guy. He's a good husband. He Sardari came Rakhi si, and he's a bit of a visionary. And hopefully I kept my parents' reputation and their legacy, in positive light.
Certainly. Thank you so much. ਬਹੁਤ ਕੁਝ ਸਿੱਖਿਆ ਆਪਾਂ. I think we spoke about for like 1 hour and 24 minutes, and
we could probably go for hours and hours. I still have.
But thank you so much for your time and your valuable information, and can't wait to talk to you again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you ਭਾਜੀ.
ਬਹੁਤ ਧੰਨਵਾਦ. Thank you.
ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਬਹੁਤ ਧੰਨਵਾਦ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਹ ਐਪੀਸੋਡ ਨੂੰ ਐਂਡ ਤੱਕ ਦੇਖਿਆ। ਸਾਡੀ ਇੱਕ ਰਿਕੁਐਸਟ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਆ, ਤਾਂ ਕਿ ਆਪਾਂ ਇਦਾਂ ਦੀਆਂ ਮੀਨਿੰਗਫੁਲ ਕਨਵਰਸੇਸ਼ਨਸ ਇਹ ਪੋਡਕਾਸਟ 'ਤੇ ਕਰਦੇ ਰਹੀਏ ਅਤੇ ਹੋਰ ਵੱਧ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਧ ਸਕਸੈਸਫੁਲ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਪੋਡਕਾਸਟ 'ਤੇ ਲਿਆਈਏ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਬਹੁਤ ਕੁਝ ਸਿੱਖਣ ਨੂੰ ਮਿਲਦਾ। ਤਾਂ ਇਹ ਚੈਨਲ ਨੂੰ ਸਬਸਕ੍ਰਾਈਬ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਕਰਿਓ। ਇਹੀ ਇੱਕੋ ਇੱਕ ਤਰੀਕਾ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਸਪੋਰਟ ਕਰਨ ਦਾ। ਬਾਕੀ ਕਮੈਂਟ ਕਰਕੇ ਵੀ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਦੱਸਿਓ ਕਿ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਐਪੀਸੋਡ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇੱਕ ਕਿਹੜੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਪਸੰਦ ਆਈ, ਅਤੇ ਜੇ ਕੋਈ ਕਮੀ ਪੇਸ਼ੀ ਰਹੀ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਦੱਸ ਦਿਓ, ਅਗਲੀ ਵਾਰੀ ਆਪਾਂ ਦੂਰ ਕਰ ਦਾਂਗੇ। ਬਾਕੀ ਆਪਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਮਿਲਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਅਗਲੇ ਐਪੀਸੋਡ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ। ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰੀ ਫੇਰ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਬਹੁਤ ਧੰਨਵਾਦ। ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਪਿਆਰ ਭਰੀ ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ।